So Game Informer has been dropping all sorts of exclusive for the upcoming Dragon Age: The Veilguard, and it looks like a video just went live talking about relationships and how they work in the game. And we previously had talked a little bit about companions, but this is a lot of new information for me as well. So we're going to be diving into this today. I will have a link to the article down below for those of you who want to dive in to all the details of the article at your discretion and read through and explore, because they got a lot of different stuff up. This is just me doing news reporting. I'm not actually creating an original video here. So let's take a look at this and read through it. So this is all tied to the Game Informer cover story that they've been doing on Veilguard. It's got a ton of information in it, so I would highly recommend you go read through it at your leisure. It says here that every companion in the game has a relationship level related to your character, and that the choices you make, it says, and not even specifically about the companion, but in terms of the world in general, what you say to the companions, how you choose to help or not help them, and etc., all play into how that character's relationship level with you is affected. So every time you rank up a companion's relationship level, you will unlock a skill point that you're allowed to spend on that companion. And it says here, so it's not about passive abilities, combat abilities, and so on and so forth. It says there are 5 abilities for each companion, only 3 of which are for combat. Then it says here, so you'll need to strategize which abilities you're going to spend for combat-related stuff and how much of that you're going to be doing on the passives. So that sounds to me like we're just being basically going, hey, here's your main character, here's the relationships and the side characters that you can have, the relationships you can build with them, and then you're going to get to choose how to spend the points to sort of customize them based on your playstyle. Because my version of a what is it, Fade Archer, I think is what it's called, but the ranged build. My version is going to be a lot different than someone else's version. My version of the Evoker or Ice Mage is going to be a lot different than someone else's. So it's nice that we can then customize the characters that we get with these passive abilities that you're getting through leveling up the relationships with them. It also means that you could choose not to do those relationships and have just a more generic character, which is interesting. It says here, Dragon Age series art director Matt Rhodes hinted that companion issues, problems, and personal quests play into the relationship level and how a companion interacts with your character, Rook. It says here, Balara Lotara, for example, has her own story arc that runs parallel to and informs the story path you're on. This is during a story-driven mission in Arlethan Forest, where Rook is searching for Balara, according to the article, the demo that they were playing. Relationships are key, not just romances, but friendships, and we wanted to lean into how just the relationships for the characters have with you, but the relationships they have with each other. It's a found family. At the end of the day, they need to trust that they have each other's back. Well, that was kind of key to previous Dragon Age adventures, in that there's always been really fun banter between the characters in the party, and it really does depend on who you bring with you. You get completely different banter depending on the characters that you had with you. Also, depending on whether or not you had romances with certain characters would impact how they reacted to other characters as well. So that's always been a staple of their games. It says here, romance. It says, fret not, Bioware fans. Romance is indeed a key part of the relationship in this game. Some of the romance is getting quite spicy, they say, which is no different than the previous Dragon Age games, in the sense that we've always had some spicy relationships in Dragon Age, more so than many other games. I feel like BioWare has always done a good job of making sure we have lots of different flavors of romances. This one, it says here, not all of the romances. Okay, it says here that each romance has a different flavor. Some characters are straight to the point, others are more awkward. Have they never been in a relationship before? You're going to have to learn who these characters are and how their romances unfold. Bush says she likens romantic and platonic relationships to another way of leveling up your companions. It's not just experience and skill points that determine your standing with companions, but also the conversations you have with your party members and how that plays out. They've also already revealed that each companion, which we talked about this in the previous episode on companions, that the companions in Veilguard are pansexual, which is different from, it says, the community dubbed player sexual approach in some games. This is going to see the companions being attracted to players from any gender or regardless of gender, which is a distinction, it says, because in this game, your companions aren't just going to vie for your affection. They might take attraction to other companions in your party, which is something we've seen in other games before as well. If you're not actively pursuing a relationship with the characters, they're going to go off and do their own things. So you better make sure that you chase the ones that you want. Otherwise, you might get left behind. The writer of this article said they saw nothing resembling romance in their early hours with the demo, but they did see a romantically inclined emotional response in the dialogue choices at time, which led to their rook flirting with Ice Agent Private Detective Nev Gallus, who, by the way, I will absolutely be romancing on my first playthrough. I've seen her character in the trailers and the gameplay reveal, and that's the character for me. That's the one I'm going to be pursuing my first relationship with. Because every time you play a game like this, especially if you're going to play multiple times through, like I plan on doing, you're going to do different relationships each time you play. Like Baldur's Gate 3, the first time we went through, I did Shadowheart. Second time I went through, it was Karlach. We want to try and explore and experiment with different things. And the cool thing with the Dragon Age games in the past is that every single one of the companions that they have given you have been really deep and a lot of fun to pursue and really fun to just do all the romance options because it adds a whole nother level of the game for those of us who enjoy role playing and story immersion. So it sounds like Bioware is just doing what they've always done with character romances, which is cool. But it says the option to flirt and push platonic relationships into romantic territory aren't always reciprocated, depending on the character, of course. It says that's not to say that you should ignore other options, such as the friendly, snarky, and direct conversation choices. And the writer says here, easy to see how different flavors of dialogue mix and mingle into Rook's relationships with the companions. Most of it still seems a mystery by the end of this article, but the Veilguard is due out this fall. So we'll be getting a chance to dive in at our leisure as we choose to play Dragon Age Veilguard. Now, one of the things I've always loved about Dragon Age is, and I mentioned this earlier, is the banter between the characters and how they choose to form their own relationships independent of you. Now, I plan on doing a completionist run of Dragon Age Veilguard. I know for a fact that my character is going to be male. I will be pursuing Neb as my primary romantic relationship. But remember, you can only have, if I'm not mistaken, I think you only have 3 people in your party in total, 2 other companions. So I'm kind of curious how that works because in the previous games, at the very least, you had 3 other people, so you had a total of 4. So even if you were romantically inclined with one, there were 2 more that could form, relationships independent of you. But if we've only got one character with us in this run, I'm guessing that the banter they're talking about is maybe if you've chosen not to pursue a romantic relationship with one of these characters, or maybe it's stuff that's all going to happen back at the camp when you're there doing your leveling up and scaling and all the other things you're going to be doing, and at the home base. I don't know how this is all going to work yet, so it remains to be seen. Am I mistaken? How many companions can you have? You can only have 2 companions in those missions, just like Mass Effect. So I wasn't misremembering things, right? Cool. I'm not like completely off my rocker. So I don't know how that's going to work. But it'll be interesting to see how the banter plays out one way or the other. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you are as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams here and on Twitch. Don't forget the Discord. We're going to be doing so much Dragon Age this fall, everybody. Can't wait for a release date. Until next time, make sure to follow along with all things Dragon Age, the Veilguard, via the link down below, and I will, of course, see everybody in the next one. Until then, stay safe and happy gaming.